From your point of view, what's one thing every couple should know before considering going to business with each other?
It's not a race to be better than the other. It's not, hey, this is my business or this is my business. It's y'all's business together. You need to treat it as such. It's a lot like parenting. Even though we don't have children, we've had plenty of dogs and we have 18 people. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like having children. But I think it's a lot like parenting. And you have to understand when you're going to parent a child, it's a give and take all the time. And you just got to be with each other. At the end of the day, you got to understand that we're here doing the same thing, trying to achieve the same goal, not always take it so serious. I'm not fighting against her. She's not fighting against me. We're in it together. And I would say if you can do that, I think it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to work with your spouse day in and day out.
Hi, I'm Christy Honeycutt, your host for Inside the C-Suite, where execs get real about leadership, impact, and what truly drives high-stake decisions. Most people think luxury is what they can see. A beautiful home, a dream backyard, a stunning kitchen. But today's guest would argue that true luxury isn't what you see, it's what you experience. From more than 2 decades, Matt DeVance, founder of DeVance Electronics Lifestyle, has been helping homeowners, builders, and business leaders create environments where technology disappears and lives get better. From immersive home theaters and intelligent lighting, security, sound, and automation, Matt has built one of the most respected lifestyle technology companies in the country. Today, we're talking about leadership, innovation, entrepreneurship, family business, and why the future of luxury may be less about stuff and more about experience. Let's get ready for a leadership lesson in luxury. Let's jump in, shall we? Matt, I am so stoked to have you on the show. Not only are you a very near and dear friend, you are a leader that I respect and admire. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that my introduction did not do you justice. I would love for you to introduce yourself and a little bit about what you do.
Most definitely. I'm excited to be here as well. I've been looking forward to this since we first talked about it. Matt DeVance, I'm the founder of DeVance Electronic Lifestyle, and we are celebrating 24 years of being in business this year. And I founded the company really more of a service than a provider, if you will. I feel like the products we provide, what makes them really something that everybody can enjoy is really the service after the fact because it's technology. And as we know, technology can have hiccups. And when you have a hiccup, you want to have somebody that you can call to square away whatever the problem is. And I learned that early on in my career is it's really more about fixing people's problems when they arise and servicing them and being of service that I really found that I enjoy as much as I enjoy the technology that we provide as well. So we're really a technology provider, but I look at us as a big service provider of that technology as well, if that all
Well,
makes sense.
I know that you are on our speed dial in this home, so we very much appreciate you. So I call you the lifestyle architect because, frankly, I think that's what you do. And I think a lot of people misunderstand what you do, myself included. We're very near and dear friends, and I did not realize to the depth of service that you guys provided. So when someone says that you install smart homes, smart businesses, what do they miss? What does that mean?
The specialty that we put ourselves into where we can really make technology shine is when we can get in early and beginning in a project. So let's say somebody's building a house or even building a business, an office space, and we can get in at the beginning and ask the right questions of what do you expect or want technology to do for you? And I think that's really where we shine. And it's our job to understand what the client's looking for, but then also let them know things that they probably never knew existed, which happens a lot when I'm going through my introduction phase and I'm asking these questions. And then I say, did you know that technology could do this, this, or this? Most people didn't have a clue. Like I never knew that that was even possible. And that's fun for me, introducing the technologies that are up and coming to clients so they can have that help them, whether it's helping them in their day to day business or helping them in their day to day personal lives. So, to your point, we are really being that architect to take technology and making it to where it can help your life be better every single day, or at least more enjoyable, if you will.
So I know that you're big about experience, and for those of you watching, if you ever find yourself in the DFW area, you have to check out their showroom. It's incredible. I was in one of your theaters and you played Top Gun, and we could hear the chain hit the ground. It was insane. I've never seen or heard a movie like that before. So I know you're really big into experience. So what's the difference between technology and experience from your point of view?
Sure. The experience side is what technology can do for you. The technology we're installing is there to provide the experience. And to your point, when I'm working on putting together a media room or a theater for a client, my goal is when they're watching that movie, everything else disappears. All their problems go away. They may have a really rough week. All that just goes away, and they're truly enveloped into that movie as if they were there physically, wherever it may be, on that jet with Tom Cruise flying around. It takes them to another place, which I find is what I really enjoy because it's almost like time travel, what we're providing, because I'm taking them away from their problems, away from any concerns they may have. At least for an hour or two, I can put them in a specific area where they just enjoy whatever it is they're doing. And hopefully they're doing it with loved ones. That makes it even better.
Well, I can tell you for sure, I did not touch my phone the whole time we were in there. So, and that's very unusual for me. So, thank you for that. So, what problems do your clients come to you to solve?
Quite a bit. Technology can be frustrating, whether it's, hey, I'm not connecting to the internet, or my smart doorbell's not working, or my lights aren't coming on, things like that. And there's certain challenges, especially if it's a little bit of an older technology. Maybe they purchased a home and it has some older technology and they want to integrate some newer technology. That's always a challenge too, trying to get those two to talk to each other. So that's kind of a big one right there. And we do our best as the technology will allow us to merge old to the new. And then it just kind of depends on what it is they're looking for that technology to do for them. So I'd say that's probably the biggest challenge is some of the old stuff merging with the new stuff. And it's changing all the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. Are you finding in this multi generational place that we find ourselves in, are you finding that some users kind of adapt to the technology faster than others? And I know that I'm on the other because I am really bad with our technology, but are
Sure.
you seeing that in your customer base?
Yes, most definitely, especially my younger customer base. And what I'm finding is our younger customer base is positioning themselves now to have a little bit more wealth than I think you and I may have had at that same age in our early 30s, even late 20s. And at the same time, they have the resources, i.e., the technology to go out and learn more about the technology. So there's been times where I've had clients come in to me and say, hey, did you know about this, or this? And I hadn't even known about it. I'm like, oh, I didn't know about that. I need to experiencing it. I need to figure out what that is. So yes, younger people are really up to date with what's going on. They know about technology. They want technology. And then on the opposite spectrum of that, maybe some older clientele, that would be where my role would come in to explain some of the newer technology and see if it's something that could benefit their lives. And if it can, great. Let's figure out how we can implement that and make your life easier on a day to day basis.
What would you say, in your experience, is the most expensive technology mistake that homeowners and businesses make?
I would say the most expensive mistake would be buying a cheap network. And
Okay.
what I mean by that is I've seen some clients where they don't necessarily see a value of buying a network. And what I mean by network is what provides all the Wi-Fi in your house, what provides if you're paying provider like AT&T or Spectrum to have a gig download or whatever it is. And they don't necessarily see the value in the equipment side. And so they get the equipment side and then they don't get the speeds that they're paying for, and their phones are constantly dropping off or their computers are constantly not connecting, things like that. And the reason that becomes expensive is because if they purchased inexpensive products, then they're having to buy something again. So they're paying for something twice. And one of my clients told me one time, it was funny when we were talking kind of about this. He said, I'm not rich enough to buy the cheap stuff. And that really resonated with me for a long time. And I've been guilty of this where I'm like, oh, I'm not going to spend the money on that. And next
Mhm.
thing I wind up buying two or three of those things, whatever it may be, when I could have just bought one, maybe that was a little bit more expensive at the beginning and it would have lasted me a lot longer. So I think that's probably the biggest mistake is if an end user or a client tries to do something very inexpensively, but it doesn't work out and then you wind up spending again and again and again, where if you just would have maybe cried once at the beginning and got it over with, you would have been happier in the long run.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I felt that one before for sure. So if we talk about the psychology of home, for me, you spend your career designing environments. How much does the environments you designed impact happiness?
A lot. I'll say one thing that can really affect a mood is lighting. And I've been, a case in point, I've been to some parties where you go to a party and let's say it's at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, it's dark outside. But inside this home, all the lights are on 100% full bright, and you're trying to have a good time or entertain, maybe have some wine or something like that. And the lights, if they're on that bright, it's hard to just kind of relax. And so lighting can make a big difference in your overall mood. So if you can dim those lights down, then you can have a little bit more to relax. And the circadian rhythm lighting nowadays is very important. It gives you that feel inside your home of what the sun is doing outside. So that's really become good as far as health goes. So there's a lot of health benefits and a lot of things that technology can do to your overall mood. And of course, I'm a big music fan. You know this. My wife and I always love music, and hearing music playing all the time is just comforting for us and relaxing to us. So we have it playing music throughout our house almost all the time when we're home, and it's just relaxing.
Yeah, that was my next question. What part does sound play in our lives? And it is nice to have kind of the ambiance. What happens when psychology and technology work together seamlessly? What's the outcome there?
When psychology and technology work together? That's a good question. When you say psychology, can you explain that just a little bit more?
Well, if we're looking at the psychology of the home and making it more peaceful, making your parties more enjoyable, if they're working together seamlessly, what would the ROI be for a business?
I gotcha. I found that when I have read researches and studies on the business side of things, that lighting really can make a big effect on the output of each individual. And if you have the right lighting, like circadian rhythm, the study shows that an employee can actually be more productive and throughout the day than if it's just a big fluorescent bulb above them that maybe those fluorescent buzzing noise. It's very sterile. And it's the research shows that the more you can make the environment, especially a work environment, less sterile, the higher the production is. We want to look at that. You can also do noise canceling and workspaces as well. And so there's actual speakers and things that you can put in the ceiling that cancel background noise out. That gives people a sense of calm and be able to focus more on their task. And then when you have background noises, especially where I'm located, I got these hot rod cars zooming all up and down the road all day long. You'll see if you come to the showroom, whoever's listening, that can be a distraction. You're in the middle of really focusing on something, and background noise can take you out of that focus. That psychology of creating an environment that you can focus on what you're doing, the task at hand, the technology can really help with that.
Are there any favorite projects that you're working on right now that you can share?
Yeah, there's quite a few. Where we're located, we're kind of in the heart of a lot of automobile clubs and garage.
Mhm.
The custom garage community has really taken off, where you purchase a garage and you create these man caves out of them. Those to me are fun because the person that purchased one of those garages, that's their goal, is fun. They're all about, we want to make this fun. We want to have people over. We want to show it off. And so a lot of the conventional wisdom is just thrown out the window because it's single purpose. Let's have fun. We want it to wow. So we got some garages that we're working on right now that are just really exciting. It's exciting for me to see how excited the consumer is, my client gets, when we're talking about what we're going to do and how it's going to be achieved. And they just get really, really excited about having that technology. That's probably a lot of what we're working on right now that's just been really fun.
Well, and you're a car guy. Anybody that knows you knows that you're a car guy and you support the car community, obviously. I know that that brings you a special place of joy. What's your favorite car?
Like a single car. Uh,
You could only pick one, Matt. What would be your favorite car?
well, oddly enough, I think it's on your property currently, 69 Camaro, if I'm not mistaken. I've always wanted a 69 Camaro, and I don't know why. I just love the lines of that car. I think it's
Mhm.
American muscle. And don't get me wrong, I love Porsches and Ferraris and all the fun sports cars, but something about that car to me is just, I don't know, it's just classic. I think it just
Yeah,
says America, and
it
I
does.
like it.
When it's done, just come grab it.
Yeah, I would love that actually.
I have a feeling it will be done this year. Well, we
Yeah.
hope so.
Fingers crossed.
I know that you work a lot in the luxury market, and there is a luxury client mindset, I find.
Mhm.
And I'm just curious because I know that you work with athletes and executives, entrepreneurs, affluent families. What patterns do you see?
With those clientele, the pattern really is they understand, to your point, the luxury market. Let's say they're going to go on vacation. They're going to pick a hotel where they know the Ritz, what they're going to get, right? And I think that's really what we try to hone in on is if you're going to do business with us, we're going to provide an expectations for ourselves, but not only for ourselves, for you. And it's going to be a luxury experience. And that's something that you just know if I work with DeVance, I'm going to get a luxury experience. And that's what they're paying for. And that's what they expect. And that's what I've taught all of my people what it's about. It's about that experience. It's about that quote unquote lifestyle that we provide, that electronic lifestyle. And that's really what our clientele wants and expects every time we meet with them. And they look at us as the experts. And in doing so, it doesn't mean that we need to put all the stuff that we do in their house because it might not be for them. But we need to put the right stuff, the stuff that is of value and can make their life better. And if it doesn't do that, then there's no reason to put it in there. So we really look at that. And it's almost to that psychology that you were speaking of earlier. It's for us to really decide this technology will be good for you or it will not be good for you. And we help them with those decisions.
I love everything you just said right there. So, how have luxury expectations changed over the last decade?
I think people they like to get as much value for the dollar as they can, especially
Mhm.
with technology, and technology changes so fast. So there is certain technology that I'll let my clients know, maybe don't spend the money here because this is going to be totally different within a year. And you're going to be updating it or upgrading it or replacing it. So let's not necessarily focus putting your dollars here. Let's put it in some place that makes a lot more sense. I call it slow moving technology. So you want to put your money in slow moving technology, not fast moving technology. Because if you put in fast moving technology, you're almost wasting your money because you're going to be doing it again next year and again the following year and so on and so forth. So I think that's really how I try to guide my clients and create that value of technology.
You're the technology advisor. I really like it. So, what are clients asking for today that they didn't ask 5 years ago? And are you seeing specific shifts with what they're looking for?
Yeah, I think it's shifted into lighting with LED technology and what it can do. When LED lighting came out, the implication was it's going to save you on your electric bill. I mean, that was what it was about. 100% of why you would go from an incandescent bulb to an LED bulb is lower your electric bill. Now that technology has advanced so fast and so far, like we were talking about earlier, where you can really change the color. We have one technology that's really neat is called dim to warm. So let's say in your kitchen, when you're cooking and you have it at 100%, it's going to be more white. But then when you're done cooking and now it's more of you're going to start enjoying the meal and you dim those lights, the color temperature changes. So it gets more yellow, more warm, like a sunset. So it's the same bulb, but it can go through different colors depending on how high or how low you have that light bulb dim. And so I think lighting has become something that it just wasn't there in the past, but over the past 5 years, it's really progressed in its quality and the feature sets that it has. And it can really change the overall feel of a house quickly.
I love that. Thank you so much for answering these random questions I have about lighting and technology. So, I know your spouse, and I often call her your bride. And anybody that knows you knows that she is your ride or die. So, what's it like building a business with your spouse?
Yeah, I'll state on that. We just celebrated 24 years of being married, June 1st. And when I started the business back in 2002, that was actually the same year we met. And I started the business, and really it was myself and a couple installers working out of the house and building it. And she was working for corporate America. And she saw all that I was going through to build this business. And in 2007, she left corporate America and joined on. And her reasoning was she saw the struggles that I was at. I was almost at a ceiling, if you will, of just what I could physically do in a day. which was meeting with clients, putting together quotes, putting together the design itself, ordering product, delivering product, paying bills, all the stuff that goes along that we all know as an entrepreneur you do when you have a business. So she came on board and she was a catalyst of finding the right people to take things or take my hats away. We talk about wearing multiple hats, right? So you're going to wear this hat. You're now going to answer the phone when clients are calling for Matt, set appointments and things like that. So she really got us organized, if you will, and she got us out of the house into our first showroom. And then we bought a building in 2019. And what's been great with her is we're kind of a yin and yang, and we understand that. And I think that's the key. If you're going to be in business with your spouse, you have to know their strong points and your strong points and their weaknesses and your weaknesses. And if you treat those like a yin and yang, like if it's my weakness, I need your help with this because it's your strong point, and recognize that. And I think where we've been successful too is we don't have egos between each other with the business. Even though I started it and she came on, she's still my partner, not only in the business, but also in life. And we need each other back and forth. There's things that she can do in the business that I'm not good at and I can't do, which is great. We need that for each other. And then when we go home, when we first started working together, this was her first time really being outside of corporate America. So being a business owner. And when you first get going as a business owner, we've all been there. Our mind does not stop. It's 24/7. You get home, you're thinking about the business. You wake up, you're thinking about the business. It's always business, business, business. And me, I was already in it for a little while. And so I was the one, hey, babe, we're at home. Let's be at home. Right. And so I think that was important too, to understand and have each other understand that it's time for us to have our personal time, not our business time. We can have our business time in the morning when we get back to the office. And as long as a couple, you can understand that and you agree upon that, I think that's, in my opinion, what causes a lot of when you hear people, oh, I would never be in business with my spouse or whatever. I think it's because they keep it going 24/7. They don't turn it off. And I think that's very valuable. You got to understand when it's time to be personal and have your personal life and respect that and have your business life.
I absolutely love everything that you said, and you answer all of my questions before I get to ask them. This is why you're such a great guest. But when you guys have disagreements, who wins?
Great question. I think we both win because there's a lot of times we know when something's important to the other person and we can tell, hey, this is very important to this person. This is not the fight for me to stand on the hill, right?
You're gonna die on this hill.
Right. Exactly. Being with each other now 24 years, we understand that. And I think that's really important. Understanding I don't always have to win. And she understands she doesn't always have to win. But at the end of the day, our goal is that the company wins, right? So if I need to stand down because what she's saying is right, like I was saying earlier with my ego, it's not about an ego. It's, hey, you're right. Let's go that way.
Mhm.
I think it makes us where we both win. And we don't use that against each other later. Like, oh, remember this fight? I won it. We put that away. When it's done, it's done. We move on. So I think that's key to just let it go and understand we're both here to achieve the same goal, and that's success for the company and success for our people. And if we agree upon that, which more often we do, then there's been a couple times. And like I said, I think we just get to a point where we understand this is important to the other person, and
Mhm.
I'm going to accept that, and I'm going to stand down, and we're going to do that.
So, what leadership lesson did you learn from your spouse?
To let things go. She's really good at what kind of like what we are just talking about. If there's something that is very passionate to one of us, and when it's done, it's done. Let it go. And sometimes there's things that happen, like let's say it doesn't work out with a client. And we really wanted this client or whatever, and we just weren't a fit. And you just got to let it go and just say, look, that's the nature of the world, and that's just going to be it. You can't make everybody happy 100% of the time. And sometimes we're just not a good fit for people, and sometimes they're not a good fit for us. And you just got to let those things go. She really taught me that, to be able to let things go and not, I'm a Cancer. So I kind of harbor these things for a while. It could stay in there for weeks. And she's helped me kind of empty the glass, if you will. So the next day I can have an empty glass to fill it back up with more good stuff.
I love that. From your point of view, what's one thing every couple should know before considering going to business with each other?
It's not a race to be better than the other. It's not, hey, this is my business or this is my business. It's y'all's business together. You need to treat it as such. It's a lot like parenting. Even though we don't have children, we've had plenty of dogs and we have 18 people. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's like having children. But I think it's a lot like parenting. And you have to understand when you're going to parent a child, it's a give and take all the time. And you just got to be with each other. At the end of the day, you got to understand that we're here doing the same thing, trying to achieve the same goal, not always take it so serious. I'm not fighting against her. She's not fighting against me. We're in it together. And I would say if you can do that, I think it's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to work with your spouse day in and day out.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you guys in action. I think you work really well together personally. But let's talk about your children, your
Yeah.
employees, right? Hopefully, when they're listening to this, they don't think that was a bad thing to say.
Right.
It means he loves you. One thing I love about your story is that Dana did come from corporate and now she's helping you side by side. And you do focus on people, on humans and mentorship and leadership. And a lot of people will build business, but few people build their people. So, what responsibility do you think leaders have to pour into their people?
I think they really need to understand each individual person that works with them has different needs. And I found that when I was doing my one on ones with my employees, where I sit down and just spend an hour with them, you really get to know them. You understand what is it that they're looking for from this company. And I think so many entrepreneurs, it's the opposite. They're looking, what can I get from this person for our company? And they never take the time to ask the opposite. What can this company do for you as an employee of this company? And when I started asking our employees that, some of them never had that asked to them before. They couldn't believe that that was even on the table. And what that helped me learn is what their goals and desires and aspirations are long term. Because maybe it's a technician that today they're out there going through attics and installing TVs and things like that, but their aspirations are, I want to be overseeing a group of technicians. I want to be a project manager, or I want to be a salesperson or things like that. And I think taking the time to talk to your people and ask what the company can do for them, it's created longevity with our people because we're showing them that it's not a one-way relationship, that it is a two-way relationship. We want to give as well as receive, and then in turn do the same thing back for us. And so I've had plenty of people in the company where they've actually been able to move up in the company to a different seat because we started having those conversations. And I think so often when you don't, what happens is the person just thinks there's no room. They hit a ceiling. And so they have to go somewhere else to continue their growth pattern. And that might not be the case most times. It just, what happened was is their manager or their owner just didn't take the time to understand where did they want to go and where can the company help them be. So they lost a good employee because they just didn't take the time to get that information.
I really loved that answer. And there are so many corporations, big dogs, tens of thousands of employees that do not get that right. And it's all about just wrapping your arms around your people and understanding that they're human and where they want to go. That is authentic, transparent servant leadership. So, very, very, very excited to hear you answer that way. What
Okay.
legacy are you trying to leave through your team?
I would say probably what you just said, servant leadership. I really feel like even though we provide a lot of black boxes, whether it's a TV or a network or things like that, I feel like we're servants to our clients. How can we help you? How can we serve you on a day to day basis? How can we make your life easier through technology? And then when you're using that technology and there's a hiccup, which usually there is, how can we serve you then to get you back on track as fast as possible? So, really, just with our younger people, the people we have here, to have them understand that you can gain so much more, in my opinion, out of life having the mentality of I'm serving people. That means more to me than putting dollars in my bank account. It gratifies me more to know that my people here are growing and they're getting that, and how excited and how it makes them feel when a client is super happy with us or leaves us a 5-star Google review because they did an amazing job or we fixed a problem or whatever it may be. They truly get excited about that. And I feel like I'm changing their lives. And hopefully that then goes home with them. And if they have children, they're telling their children about these things and so on and so forth, so it can continue.
This is why we're friends, because I do believe that it starts with leadership and it trickles down to our employees and it trickles down to their families and our community. So I'm so aligned with everything that you said. I just think it's really great. If your employees were sitting here with us today, what would you hope that they would say about your leadership?
I would hope they would say patient and a good listener.
It has good taste in music too.
Yeah, I like to rock out. I do like that for sure. I think too that I do feel like they truly know that I value them and I care about them as a person and as a human, and they're not just a number. I can't tell you how often I hear about small businesses like myself getting purchased by a larger company. And next thing you know, the people that made that small business now they feel like a number. And like the big corporation that came in and purchased them, they're just another number. They're just another employee. And
Um,
it's very sad when that happens because those people helped build that small business to the point to where it could be purchased by somebody that wanted to purchase it. And then it just gets eroded from the inside out. I really feel like if our employees were here, I think they would say that they feel like their voice is heard with our company and that we value them and value their opinion.
I believe that they would. So we teased a little bit about the soundtrack of life. So we know that you are a music buff, a movie buff, all things visual and audio, and you've created some amazing experiences through sound. So I'd like to talk about yours. What artist do you never get tired of?
ACDC.
All right. We
And
know that one.
I told people it's almost impossible to listen to ACDC and be in a bad mood. You can't do it. If you're listening to ACDC, you're going to be in a good mood. You're going to be bopping your head. You're going to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
so
You're gonna be ready to go
that's
kick
right.
some ass and get some things done. What movie has influenced your leadership?
My leadership.
Mhm. How you show up. Is there a movie that just touched your heart and how you show up?
I would say, actually, I've learned a lot from some of these series that are out there right now, some of the TV series, a
Yeah.
little bit more than the movie, like Yellowstone, oddly enough.
Mhm.
I mean, you wouldn't have thought it's kind of dark that movie is. If you look at John Dutton and what he was trying to do was he was trying to preserve Yellowstone for his children and his grandchildren. And it never happened, fell apart on him. And I think there's some good lessons to be learned there that he paid more attention to what he was trying to save. And at the same time, he was losing everything he was trying to save it for. And
Mm.
so that kind of resonated to me. And then I'm trying to remember the name of the one where he's a soccer coach over in Europe. And it's kind of just a really feel good kind of mini series. And he's got a mustache. Jason Sudeikis, I think, is the actor, and he's got the mustache, and he becomes this soccer coach. And it's a
Are you
really
talking
good
about Ted Lasso?
lasso. Yeah, yeah, exactly right. That's just kind of a feel good
Mhm.
type movie or type TV series, and then just watching what he went through,
Yeah.
trying to coach these people. And it's kind of to my point earlier, he really got to know them as individuals and what made them tick. And then he had to get them to all work together and to achieve the goal together as opposed to fighting. You had the superstar that I think our salespeople are divas, is really what happens, right? Our salespeople are the divas in the company. So you get them to try to work with everybody else. And I say that being a salesperson myself in the past. So I throw
Mhm.
myself under the bus sometimes on that too. But so I would say those two really taught me a lot about. So if you look at the lessons they're really trying to teach you in there, I learned a lot with just how I should be treating my people and what's important and what's not.
Well, for anybody watching this or listening to this, you now have discovered Matt DeVance's heart because he just told on himself through those two those two options, which I love. So if we're thinking about 20 years from now, technology changes, products change, the industry changes, what do you hope remains true about the way you've led your company and your family? Not what you've built, not what you've sold, but who you are.
I would say just continue to serve. I get so much pleasure in serving. I don't see that ever changing. The technology will change. It will change all the time. And my focus is still going to be the same, which is servant. leadership, if you will, and serving
Mhm.
my clients. And we're here to present that changing technology, and the outcome's still going to be the same. We're still going to provide that service at the end of the day.
I love it. Well, Matt, thank you from the bottom of my heart for holding space for myself and the audience and my curious questions. And before we close out, do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to share with the audience? And how can they get a hold of you?
Sure. They can get a hold of us. Our website is just my last name, DeVance, DeVance.tv. So it's pretty easy, like DeVance.television, DeVance.tv. And that's how they can find us, and they can get all of our pertinent information. And any final thoughts? I've just enjoyed talking with you today about it, about our business, about how our minds work. And hopefully somebody sees this and maybe they're a young entrepreneur and it helps them with some of their decision making going forward. And it's not all about the money all the time. I think you can have better success if you make it about your people, and
Mhm.
money becomes a byproduct of just doing the right thing and taking care of your people, and all the rest just kind of falls into place. And so I would say, I hope that's what happens.
Me too, my friend. Me too. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Inside the C Suite. Please like, follow, and subscribe, and go check out this guy and his bride. You will not be disappointed. Ciao.
Bye.